The Mummy is an adventure horror movie. The movie starts in the past with this pharaoh and his wife, very protective of his wife. Nobody's even allowed to get by her. But one of the pharaoh's closest allies ends up falling in love with the pharaoh's wife, and the pharaoh's wife also falls in love with him. Imhotep and Hamunaptra. Long story short, their love is forbidden. They get murdered, and because it was like kind of a coup and they rebelled against the pharaoh, Imhotep ends up getting one of the worst possible deaths, and he gets cursed for eternity. Well, fast forward into whenever this movie takes place, which I'm not really sure when that is, but we see a young Fraser, and he's basically like a Nathan Drake kind of character. He's an explorer, he looks for treasures, and he stumbles upon this key, which ends up getting stolen, and this librarian's brother steals it. She ends up seeing it, and she's like, wow, this is rare, good job. And then she's like, where did you get it? The brother's like, well, I stole it from this dude. So they go and rescue young Fraser, the whale. And upon rescuing the young Fraser, they ask him where he got the key, where he says that he got in this mystical, forbidden city no one's been to in forever, and being basically like super into Egyptian shenanigans. The librarian lady's like, oh, you gotta take me to this city because I'm super curious. And he's like, well, that's like a death trap. And they end up going anyways. Upon going, they team up with some Americans. And I wouldn't even really call it a team up, more as they're also looking for this city to reap the treasures that this city has. And upon finally getting to this city, they split up. Young Fraser and the librarian, they find a tomb, and the Americans find the Book of the Dead. Well, the tomb has Imhotep in it, and the Book of the Dead is something that can resurrect the dead. And unfortunately, more curiosity kills the cat. The librarian ends up reading from the Book of the Dead, which instantly revives Imhotep. And the rest of the movie, without spoiling too much, is just Imhotep regaining his physical form while trying to kidnap the librarian to revive his lover, Hamunaptra, and is just action-packed. And that's basically the movie. So, my review of The Mummy. This movie is grand. It brings to life a cinema universe with great characters, a great villain, lore. I mean, just so much going good for this movie. And yes, I'm calling it a horror movie because mummies are horror. There's a bunch of horror themes, even though this movie definitely goes down more of the action, adventure path. I mean, come on, it's 100% horror. So with that little rant out of the way, more things about this movie that are just excellent. The acting is really good. The special effects and CGI for 1999 still hold up. Watched this movie yesterday, and the special effects and stuff are better than some Marvel movies these days. It's really good. Now, I think this movie would have been a lot better if they used a tad bit more practical effects, but you're definitely getting into the time period where they definitely thought going to like CGI and special effects was the way. As of now in horror, we're kind of going back to practical effects just because I think people realize that looks so much better. And honestly, I could just talk about this movie for hours. I think when I start doing my longer format reviews where I really go in depth and they're like 15 minutes long, because this is going to be one of my longest reviews already, I think I'm going to talk about this movie. This is going to be one of the movies. I already got a couple movies on the list, and this is definitely going to be one. So let's wrap this bad boy up. So, my recommendation for The Mummy. This is a highly recommended, a must see movie. The Mummy is just top tier, regardless if you consider it horror, which I do. This movie is a banker. This is gonna be up there, guys. Enjoy.